And welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. The Messages of Inspirational Stories is brought to you by the good guys at the 6minutewebinar.com. And I was just telling Tanya right before we got started in the studio, we were visiting us. I've been so busy today and I'm about 3/3 behind. And I even left the title up there. The only thing I got right was Homeschooling Week Still part one. I didn't even get that right. You ever have you ever have one of those days when you feel like you're pushing a chain uphill?
Yes, yes, yes.
I'm the poster boy for that one today.
That's okay, Jim. We know
Yeah,
how it goes. I tell you,
yeah.
it's all right.
And for the folks out there that saw the information we put on Facebook, we're going to touch lightly today on a very sensitive subject, a subject that a lot of people hate. And I'm going to leave Howard's name up there
Mm-hmm.
because we're going to talk about Howard Berg today also. We had him on the show yesterday. And Tanya, I tell you right now, I wish every single show that we produced and host and put out there could have the dynamic energy
Oh,
that he did.
it was absolutely amazing. That was
Mhm.
probably one of the best shows we've ever done,
Oh
and so
yeah.
informative. I mean, I learned so much from that. It was
Oh yeah.
amazing. Hmm.
He made learning fun, and we're going to share a little bit about that too,
He did.
because we downloaded the show, we edited the show, and then we uploaded that show on our YouTube channel, which is Messages of Inspirational Stories TV Show. That's the title of our YouTube channel. And when you go there, if you see our little emblem there, let me see if I can find our emblem here so I can show you what it looks like. If I can find it, it's in here somewhere. Yeah, oh, there it is. Boom, chicky boom, right there, up in the corner there. You see the
Mhm.
little blue circle and with the gold arrow? Yeah, actually, it's over
That
here.
way.
I'll leave it up
In
there
the
for the
corner.
show. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll leave it up there because you want to be able to see that show because the first part of the show, we want to talk a little bit about bullying because that is a huge issue
Yes.
in schools today. And it's nothing new because I was a kid in the 50s and
Hmm.
an overly intelligent teenager in the 60s, as I like to say.
That's right.
But I only had two people that I had to stand up to. I'm not going to go into the details of the way I handled it
Mm.
because some other child might get the idea, hey, this is what you do with it. One was required, this was one of the weapons,
Mhm.
and the other one was a ball bat.
Mhm.
I kid
Mhm.
you not. And
Mhm.
I'm not condoning that. I'm not saying violence is the worst way to handle any type of disagreement at any age
Mhm.
because violence just vibrates negative energy.
Mhm.
And that negative energy vibrates and just keeps going because there's no stopping it anywhere in the universe. That's why love is so powerful
Mm.
because when you love somebody, it's kind of like when you walk up, many times I'm walking in a door. I don't care if it's guy, gal, it makes no difference to me. I'll just look at them, smile, hello, or good morning, hi, or something like that. Recognize them as a human being. How many people in this world,
Mhm.
Tanya, have just been totally ignored? They're not even recognized as a human being. And when you
Well,
smile
yeah,
and greet, go
yeah.
ahead, please.
No, I absolutely agree with you because even nowadays, of course, I'm in healthcare and business and et cetera. But,
Mhm.
when you walk down the hallway of a hospital and you start to greet people, hello, good morning, how are you?
Mhm.
People are shocked by that even nowadays. I mean, people
Yeah.
tend to to kind of lean into themselves and kind of, not make eye contact so much because they
Hmm.
don't know what to expect from the next person. So when someone is super kind and, greeting them in a loving way, they're shocked. It's
Yeah.
almost like a
Yeah.
shock
Yeah.
factor. Yeah.
I remember one of the things that really impressed me, and early on, I didn't know how to handle this any more than a monkey trying to play quarterback in the NFL. Okay, getting the ball, that is. But out in Arizona, I came back from Vietnam in 1970, and I was shipped or got orders for Fort Huachuca, Arizona. And I didn't realize you pronounced an H with a W. That because the school I went to didn't teach me that. But
No.
what I noticed was that the Mexican men traditionally, when they'd walk into a room, they say, "Buenos dias,"
Right.
and people would
Hmm.
respond back, which means good day or hello. It's a greetings, what it is.
Hmm.
And I was the only country bumpkin sitting there like, okay, I mean, do I speak back or whatever? Because I was not used to that.
Hmm.
And that's very, very critical because there are some telltale signs that you as a parent should be aware of when it comes to bullying your child.
Hmm.
And I want to cover, just start on one of these here, the warning signs. Now,
Yeah, let's
first of
do that.
all, first of all, let me do this here. I did do this correctly. I think. I got this from the stopbullying.gov. That's a federal government website. It's an
Hmm.
official website here in the United States. Okay. Anytime you see .gov, that's reserved for the federal government.
Hmm.
And the first warning sign that and there's about 6 or 8 of them here actually. The very first warning
Hmm.
sign they tell a parent to look out for is unexplainable injuries. And
Hmm.
I think
That
that's,
would make sense.
yeah, I think that's pretty evident, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And lost or destroyed clothing, books,
Hmm.
electronics,
Hmm.
or jewelry.
Hmm. Hmm.
Why would a bully want to hit someone or take away their shoes or their jacket or a book or electronics or jewelry? Why are they doing that, Tanya,
Hmm.
would you say?
Yeah, well, it's documented statistically, especially in the US, that more males are affected than females for bullying. So I thought
Hmm.
that that was a pertinent discovery. And then 1 out of 5 children are actually experience bullying. And
Hmm.
so when I was reading on this, preparing for today, I was looking at studies that have been done, statistics,
Hmm.
and it shows that students actually have a really high percentage, and it's a peer intervention when
Hmm.
they actually 57% of bullying can be stopped. Statistically speaking, if another peer uh, in and intervenes. So that's called peer to peer intervention. And
Mm.
so more than half of the situations can get stopped if we, as parents and teachers, help our students to understand the signs and symptoms of recognizing, bullying, recognizing the situations. Obviously, there's a line, a chain of authority and command, obviously the teachers and whatnot, but that's why a multi tiered system or a multi-tiered support system
Right.
approach to bullying is much
Hmm.
needed. So that means teachers, that means parents, that means faith organizations, support groups. We see those support groups popping up all over America and
Hmm.
international because cyberbullying is on the rise as well. With Facebook and Twitter and all of these
Oh, yeah.
Instagrams, that's why you hear of teenagers committing suicide. Some of the signs and symptoms, I like that you brought those things out because academic decline. Obviously, when your
Hmm.
student is doing really well and then they academically decline, you know that there's an issue somewhere. Also, substance abuse.
Hmm.
If they start to pick up alcohol or some kind of drug related incident or substance, it can drive bullying. Can drive children to substance abuse. Um,
Yes.
I heard a story. I want to point this out. I heard a
Okay.
fascinating story on the TV the other day. And it was about I saw it was a parent, two parents, a father and a mother,
Hmm.
and their son was about 15 years old or so, and he had a Snapchat, a little Snapchat, profile. And
Hmm.
that's very common among the teenagers and kids today. And so he went on there, and what had happened was he was actually getting bullied on there, but he actually was being targeted by some drug users and drug dealers. And
Ooh.
so he got caught up in that very innocently, but he got caught up in it. And what they're doing now, if anyone wants to know, I think this should be told too, that these drug dealers are going on these sites, then they're hooking these children.
Hmm.
And he actually overdosed, and he had a full future ahead of him. But this is
Hmm.
why we need to be on top of what our children are doing on the internet.
Hmm.
But regardless, going back to the bullying, there's cyberbullying, there's isolation when they start to withdraw and they isolate. That can lead to
Hmm.
depression. It could also lead to psychosomatic disorders in their health. For instance,
Hmm.
anxiety, increased anxiety, diarrhea, all of those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So those are the things that we need to watch for, especially in
Yeah.
our children. I have 11-year-old myself, and sometimes, if you as a parent feel like there's something going on, or you have to go with your intuition that something's just not right, Jim.
Yeah.
You've raised children, you know how it is, and
Oh,
something's just
yeah.
not right. You need to go with that. You need to go with that vibe. You need to follow
Hmm.
it through, and you need to talk with their teachers. That's why the multi-tiered approach is so important when it
Yeah.
comes to decreasing bullying in
Yeah,
the in the school.
the buddy plan is very good because I remember
Yes.
back in the 70s, whenever girls would go to dances, they would go in threes and fours, and for, just for their own protection and their own
Mhm.
security, which is smart. And
Yes.
one of the things that I did in school as a kid, I would fake stomach aches, not feeling well. And it didn't take long for my mother to figure out, they're giving a test today in school.
Mhm.
But kids will use that
Mhm.
excuse,
Right.
a belly ache, to keep from going to school,
Absolutely.
to face anything that's unpleasant for them. And, you can see a change in their eating habits, as Tanya talked about. I'm reading this from
Mhm.
the stopbullying.gov. I'm going down the list here, ladies and gentlemen. Changes in eating habits, like
Mhm.
suddenly skipping meals or coming
Mhm.
home hungry, starving, because someone may
Mhm.
have taken their lunch
Yes.
or their money, or whatever. So these here are
Mhm.
two very
Mhm.
important signs, because you think about, and I want you to expand on this, Tanya. You think about whenever
Mhm.
I was in school, let me use myself. I reflect back as a kid when I had a test and it was going to be a tough one, and I was dreading it, just like going to the dentist office. You automatically feel like you're inside of a pressure cooker. Kids are not mature enough to handle this kind of pressure. And so they're going to react
Mhm.
in a negative way.
Mhm.
And these are just a few of the telltale signs. We're going to finish them up and then we're going to get into something more positive. But,
Mhm.
skipping meals, you know, binge eating, things like that, faking
Mhm. Mhm.
illnesses, those are tremendous signs, because that's easy for a kid to fake an illness.
Mhm. Mhm.
And sometimes, I mean, kids get very good at it too.
Mhm.
And of course, as Tanya mentioned too, declining grades, loss of interest in schoolwork, not wanting to go to school. That's yeah. How come you don't go to
Yeah.
school? I don't like it. Let's talk a little bit about that, Tanya.
Yeah, no, I remember, I can tell you a story real quick, but I remember, When I was younger, my mother is Spanish, and so I don't look like a typical, blonde hair, blue eyed, a pale skinned, young lady. And so I remember going in to school, and I remember getting a couple of, of course, there were definitely compliments. Of course, I was homecoming queen, all that, but then there were other people that were tried to, how should I put this? Call me names and different things like that
Oh
because
yeah.
of
Oh
because
yeah.
of my, different look. And
Hmm.
I went through that as a young girl, and and I know other people that have gone through similar situations, just because
Hmm.
they have a different look or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But bullying can come in many forms. We don't. Go ahead,
Hmm.
Jim. Go ahead. What were you gonna
I
say?
just going to say, remind me of a time we were in, I was in college, not we were, but I was in college because Tanya's much younger than me. And we were taking a psychology class, and the
Hmm.
psychologist was showing us some pictures, and he says, picture of a person and point out something funny about that person. Oh, that was easy. you know, we could make all kind of, ha ha remarks and all that. And then after we went through about 5 or 6 pictures, he went back through them again and says, now this was the first one. Say something nice about that person.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
a brain to it goes to show you the way our minds are wired and the
yeah.
way we think.
That's exactly right. My point being is that, everyone's going to go through something
Hmm.
sometime in their life.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to equip our children to
Yes.
know how to handle those situations when they do come.
Hmm.
And so it starts at the home. And even with my daughter now, I talk to her and I try to instill the fact of her value, her worth, her identity as a young woman, knowing who she is. And not everyone, and the reality is that not everyone will like her. That is the
Hmm.
reality. And
Yeah.
letting her know that life can be hard and it can
Oh
be
yeah.
trying and it can be
Hmm.
difficult, but she has everything she needs to be
Hmm.
empowered to overcome those situations and to be victorious in any situation that will come
Hmm.
in front of her. So it's my job to help equip her. And me as a teacher, even in college, on the college level, I had to learn how to empower my students to understand these are the situations that are coming at you. How are you going to handle these situations? So I
Hmm.
don't think empowerment and education and instilling great worth and value in someone ever stops. I think that you can only instill what you have. And
Hmm.
that's why some people are broken. They're very broken. And then
Hmm.
they hurt people, right?
Hmm.
And so the whole core of bullying is control,
Right.
whether it's economic control, whether it's physical control, whether it's a social status control, whatever it may be.
Hmm.
The root of it is control. And so sometimes, now I will say this, sometimes a bully doesn't understand anything else other than a bigger stick. And that's just
Yeah.
the truth. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying, Jim? That is just
Yeah,
the
a little
truth.
thump therapy explains it, even to the ones that are slow between the ears. But I want to close up this portion of
It's
what
the
we're
truth.
talking about by simply saying that explain to your kids, talk to them, ask questions, go to I want to put the website up there again, stopbullying.gov. And there's many other websites too. But explain to your child in your own way. Since I'm a retired master sergeant, I use master sergeant English. I would just tell my kid, hey, the bully that picks on you is nothing but a coward. You never see a
Hmm.
bully go out and take on the star kid who's playing linebacker on the football team, because that's just what they are.
Right,
So
right.
anyway, I want to shift a gear here because we're talking about homeschooling. Yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, I told Howard I was going to put his website back up again, Howard Berg at berglearning.com. I'm telling you, he gave us a warning before we got started. He says, before this show is over, you're going to be a lot smarter. And I thought, well, if I'm going to be a lot smarter, can I be better looking too? But I'll take 50-50 out of that deal. But he was teaching us some very great tips. And I still got a few notes here from you can see my chicken
Oh
scratching
my
there.
goodness, yes.
Yeah. Because I was writing, because he was, he was in overdrive and I was trying to catch up.
He
But,
was so good. So good.
oh,
My
goodness.
goodness.
Yes. My goodness. Yes. One of the things that he taught, and this is absolutely brilliant when it comes to homeschooling, or whether it comes from, your kid attending the public schools or private schools, makes no difference, because Howard's programs that he has, they have been translated into 109 different languages.
You know, Jim, I'm so glad you brought that up because I was going to ask him that yesterday if it was
Mhm.
international and if his programs were in different languages. And
Mhm.
that is so smart
Yeah.
that he developed that.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
But he says, challenge your kid to go to if you're reading a book, and he was talking about speed reading. He says, take the first chapter and just read it normally for 1 minute, have a little stopwatch or whatever. Then go to the second chapter, reset the 1 minute stopwatch, and put your fingers underneath the words. Just, I don't know if I can see that or not. You can't see the words, but anyway, the lines. And just move your hand and have your eyes follow your hand, and to the point to where you cannot comprehend the words.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, see how far you go using your hand like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then compare how many words you read in the second chapter to the first. Then go back to the first chapter. He said, make a little tick mark where you stopped at, and then reread what you read using your hand. And you'll pick up, what do you say, 20 extra words or something usually, or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. He said you would progress, like whether
Mm-hmm.
it's 20%,
Mm-hmm.
increase speed, and then you would progress 40, then 60,
Yeah.
then 100%. But
Mm-hmm.
each time you do it, you get faster. And so
Yes.
it's a progression of speed. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, the approach, the technique, and how he utilized everything in your brain in regards to how he figured that out. And it was phenomenal. I
I'm
loved it.
glad. I'm glad you said brain. That he was talking about one. And you may remember the story quick more than I am, but he was talking about a kid that had ADD, and by his technique, the way he teaches them to learn and all that, the learning part of the brain that he was able to reach, not just in this kid, but many kids, any kid really that has ADD, it bypasses the ADD. And he was talking about the one, I believe it was a little girl that she was told, well, the best you can do is, be at Walmart. Hi, welcome to
Mhm.
Walmart.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And she just blew everybody right out of the water. I
She
mean,
did. Hmm. Yeah. She went on,
and
I think, to get her master's and
yes, she did.
all sorts of
And
college
and she got
education.
it, and she got it within 2 or 3 years.
She did. I
Because
know.
if I was
It's
going for a master's
phenomenal.
degree, I'd be there till I'm 106.
That's not true. I'm telling you, man. I was listening and I was like, my goodness gracious,
Yeah.
the outcomes and the development of his program, and
Mm.
I what I like is, he was there. He was, and what I mean
Yes.
by that is he had his feet in the trenches. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't that he was on some sky high situation and
Mm-mm.
born with a silver spoon in his mouth type of
Mm-mm.
thing. And I mean, he was born in Brooklyn, and he was, like he said, he was running away from the
The
gangs,
gangs.
from
Yeah.
violence, from knives chasing after him, talking about bullying. And
Yeah.
his safe place was the library.
Yeah. Because
That
gangs wouldn't go
no
in there.
no one would
What are
go
we going to do
there.
in the library? Have fun, read books? Are you kidding me?
And so that was his safe haven, Jim. It
Yeah.
was his
Yeah.
safe haven. He ran
Yeah.
there for safety, and he
Mm-hmm.
found safety in books. And
Mm-hmm.
then he just grew and developed and had just
Yeah.
a undying thirst for learning.
It
And
became
then
his calling. Yeah. Go
it
ahead.
did. No, it's okay. And it became his calling.
Yeah.
And look where that has brought him today.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know?
In 1990, he was entered into the Guinness Book of Records by reading 25,000 words in a minute.
That is
That's
insane.
60 seconds, folks.
That's insane.
It takes me longer than that to change my mind if I'm trying to make a decision.
I know,
But,
I know.
and
I
he
know.
can write 100 words a minute, and that's not shorthand. Now, I don't know if he's the only one who can read the words, but it was bona fide he could do that. Write 100 words. And this is what I want to get into. This is where the fun part was. This was kind of like an aha moment. Like, where were you when I was in school? Whenever a kid is reading something and there's questions and answers in the back, what did you learn about this person, that person? He says, go to the back of the book first or the end of the chapter, read the questions and the answers. Then when you're reading it, it will trigger something in your mind. You go, hey, I need that. See, that is something that homeschoolers today, that is something that parents can teach their kids that attend private school or public school, because that is just a universal principle. When they read that, after they've briefed themselves or read up on the questions and answers, then when they read it, oh, okay, this is something I need to know. It registers in their brain. Because otherwise they get down to the end of the chapter and what did they remember? And if they're like me, not much. They asked a question, okay, let me go back, and they don't know where to find it. And that's where frustration sets in.
Mm-hmm.
And this will eliminate a lot of that. And, we talk about homeschooling and all that. A lot of people love the fact that homeschoolers traditionally, their test scores are up to here. And with Howard's program, it's very, very common for college students to complete college in 2 years. Now you think about that. How much money would parents save 2 years, suppose to 4 years? The courses will be the same and all that, but the housing,
Yeah.
all the other hidden expense of keeping a kid in school. That's very, very, very attractive, I would say.
That's a really good point, because college, with inflation right now, college has definitely gone up. And so could you imagine if the students learn this strategic techniques for math, writing, reading at early ages? Well, it's documented and it's proven that the children, when they graduate, they go into college, then they graduate early, they compress the years into 1 to 2 years, whatnot. He was telling us about all these wonderful outcomes yesterday.
Oh, goodness.
And I'm sure they vary from student to student, but
oh, yeah.
My goodness, if you can condense 4 years into 2 years, who wouldn't want to do that? Just taking an AP exam or, whatnot. And you brought up a good point, savings as far as financially. Can you imagine? Those are thousands and thousands of dollars in savings. So the benefits, are just astronomical with this program.
And the beauty of it is Howard teaches parents, whether you're going over teaching some things, going over your homework with the kids, or doing homeschooling, whatever, he can teach you how to make learning fun. For example, you remember that 1 through 10 test he gave us yesterday? That I flunked.
I do.
That I flunked and you passed?
No.
Okay.
Not hard.
Let's see here. Let me take my glasses off. That way nobody knows I can read anything. I use the Braille system here on the TV.
This, Jim.
Let's see. 1 through 10, which is actually 0 through 9. But number 1, he said, 1, think of a pole. Right. 2 was for what? Shoes.
Shoes.
3 was what?
This will be fun. The tricycle. I do remember that one.
Yeah. And 4, you remember that one? Car. Yeah. 5 was the
let's see, the glove.
Yeah, glove. 5 fingers for the glove. Yeah. 6 was the
The gun. The
Yeah,
gun.
the six shooter. 7 was the dice.
The dice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
8
Wait.
rhymes with what?
8 rhymes with skate. Skate.
Skate. 9 refers to what? Do you remember?
Uh,
9 lives.
Cat, because of the 9 lives.
Yeah.
9 lives.
And 10 was what?
10 was
The bowling alley.
that's right, the bowling alley.
And he says, and we're on the air live, ladies and gentlemen. He says, Jim, you're staying at room 314, and you can't remember your room number, but
No, this was
to
cool.
BIP,
This was a cool
yeah, he
thing.
says, just, when you get ready to leave, even though you might not remember your room number, you want to use these little things here that he gave us. He said, what's 3, Jim? I said, tricycle. What's 1? Pole. What's 4? Car. He said, you think of, tricycle, pole, car. Okay, I'm in 314. And I was
love how
so
you did
glad.
that. Yeah.
I was so glad being live on international TV that I got that one right. And behind the scenes, I went, whew, thank you, sweet Jesus.
Me too, though. Me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, she had her fingers crossed over on me, what I mean?
No, I'm talking about me.
Oh, yeah.
I loved how we turned the numbers into visuals.
Yes. He
we
says
related
because,
it to pictures.
yeah, and you may have to help me out on this one here because he was talking about it when we drive down the road at 70 miles an hour. We see things, we remember things because it's all visual.
Yeah.
He says we can read the road signs.
It's like a movie. We're seeing it.
A movie.
It's like a
That's
movie.
what he said. Yeah, it's
like
exactly what he said.
Because we're seeing in picture. We're seeing in picture.
And that was just a snapshot, 1 through 9. He didn't go through the ABCs with me. He probably figured that'd be a train wreck with me. But that gives you a snapshot of what he's doing because right now, homeschooling is one of the fastest growing areas where people want to take more control, especially moms and stuff. They want to make sure their children are learning, getting a good education. And there's wonderful places to start. One of them is like homeschool.com. I went to that website and let me see if I can find it here. Homeschool.com, it talks about how to homeschool. Step 1. Step 1 is find out about your state laws in your state. I'm talking about in the United States, ladies and gentlemen. Mm-hmm. But as far as the homeschooling techniques, and let me say this, I said it yesterday, let me make this very, very clear. Howard Berg does not give us one thin dime for endorsing his products. And he did not pay to be on the show yesterday. In fact, Tanya, just between me and you, don't tell Howard this. He was so good, we should have paid him to be on the show.
Oh, absolutely.
Because his show was
phenomenal.
that good, ladies and gentlemen. His show was that good. And someone asked me, says, Jim, we watched the show. You didn't say too much. I said, well.
Oh, no.
I was demonstrating I was trying to demonstrate and pretend that I'm intelligent. It's kind of like that old proverb, even a fool will be considered wise if he keeps his mouth shut. That's a proverb in the Bible. But my point was his information was so powerful. His information was so powerful. I did not want to interrupt his information with something that, I just wanted to say, because Howard was the one that was important, not me.
That's right.
And I realized that. And and the time flew by. In fact, Tanya, that's one of the few shows we didn't even take a commercial break on. I mean, I just put up our sponsor like this here, the good guys at the 6minutewebinar.com, as I like to say on the TV and radio. But the information flowing was so powerful.
Yes.
I did not want to interrupt anything. And that's what we do here at the TV show. We make sure it's not about us.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Not about us at all.
That's right.
And that's why we don't use host and co-host and,
Mhm.
Titles are only important to your ego.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
what's really important here is the content of the information and
Mhm.
the folks out there in the field, as I like to
Mhm.
say, because almost 20% of our audience watches us on Roku. And we're very grateful for that because they could
Yes.
choose to watch anybody else.
Absolutely.
And just between me and you,
Absolutely.
Tanya, don't let anybody else know I said this, but they could they could find a lot more higher, better looking, and more intelligent people than me to be listening to.
Oh no. You know what? I'm just so thankful to be able to be helping people with you, Jim, and
Hmm.
connecting with people. I think people want community, they want connection, they
Oh
want
yeah.
real solutions to help them with whatever they're going through. And this is just information that we're being able to give to people to help them in their situations. And so I'm so thankful for the opportunity to be able to do
Hmm.
that and have
Hmm.
these exceptional guests on that are expert level, definitely
Hmm.
more than qualified to be helping people. I mean, he was talking about being on, with Zig Ziglar and different
Hmm.
people like that. And, I
Yeah.
mean, when we know Zig Ziglar is, I mean, he was very well respected, and
Oh yeah.
I mean, but Howard, I tell you, it was a pleasure to have him on the show yesterday,
Hmm.
and I learned quite a bit from that. That
Hmm.
was just phenomenal.
It
It
was a
was great.
show that was so rewarding that we were so grateful that we could deliver a show like that. And I'm looking here now. Let me look up here and get my notes at parents.com/kids education, homeschooling, and
Hmm.
all that.
Hmm.
And they talk a lot about, about homeschooling. And they have a guide for parents there. We don't have time to get into all that. But when you're researching about homeschooling, one of the reasons why a lot of people are going into homeschooling is because of the quality. The legal requirements in the U.S. vary from state to state, as you very well know. That's your first thing to check out if you're looking into homeschooling. But the homeschooling has the ability to bring the parent and the child together. And when the parent has the wisdom and the knowledge and the techniques to make learning fun and make it rewarding. I mean, imagine, hey, after we have our class today, or after we attend school today, or whatever they call it, or whatever the individual calls it, we're going to have some, we're going to go somewhere and maybe go get some ice cream or something like that. And, that just think about the
It
joy and the
it
jubilee.
does. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what?
Plus, plus, let me say
Yeah.
this right
No,
quickly.
go ahead. Go ahead.
If you got a teenage daughter, you being a dad, you won't
Right.
embarrass your kid by coming up there in the car and oh gosh, here's my dad. Pull up in front of all my friends. Oh, yeah, because that happens. I mean, that's perfectly normal, perfectly natural, perfectly human, and that's the way teenagers' worlds
It
turn.
is.
Because
It is.
all of us at one
So
time or another
true.
were ashamed of our parents. I mean,
Yeah.
growing up, let's
I
be
remember
honest.
feeling that. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I'm
Yeah.
sure looking back now, some of the things I did as a kid growing up, my parents were never ashamed of me, but they probably felt like strangling me a time or two in public, or at least whack me a time or two.
You know what, Jim? I just love the community of for the homeschoolers though. Like
Mm,
they have a great connection. They have great community support. I mean, they're like here in Columbus, Ohio. I know that there are tons of homeschooler communities that you can get connected with, and
yeah,
they meet
yeah.
so often. I mean, that is all over the U.S.
Oh,
And
yeah,
so if you interested in homeschooling or you're looking to do that,
yeah.
especially, during this time, we would definitely urge you to go on,
Mm,
whether through it's your chamber of commerce, in your
yeah,
local area, and check
yeah,
it out. See if you can find, your, community of homeschoolers and then get connected that
yeah.
way because these mothers, these fathers, I mean, they're doing a phenomenal job in this area. They
Oh,
really
yeah.
are.
And I tell you this much, you can email howard@howardberglearning.com
Hmm.
and just say, I'm thinking about homeschooling. what are, just tell him exactly what your concerns are, or what you don't know about it, whatever. He would be more than happy to respond to you. He is not a salesperson. He's
Yeah,
not going to put you,
I like
that,
that.
that,
I like that
that's not
about him.
his calling. I mean, he's happy. He's content. The only thing he wants to do now is give back. I mean, yesterday on the TV show, if you go to the yesterday's show, he's like a teddy bear, a human teddy bear. He's just happy, just easygoing, and anytime I'd
Yeah,
say something
he
funny,
was.
he'd crack up and laughing. And he's a wonderful person. He's a very trusted source for you to go to and ask questions. That's why I told him in an email when I sent him his YouTube link, I says, Howard, today, to show our appreciation to you for the great show you put on, we're going to run your ticker tapes and all. We're going to brag on you. And
Yes,
because he earned that right. And
absolutely.
I was going to say something else intelligent. So while I'm trying to think of it, why don't you go ahead and say something there?
Jim, I think you're an amazing host. You're doing so well. It's an honor to be with you. But so thank you for that.
Mhm.
But Howard, he blew it out of the water yesterday,
Mm,
and
mm.
and the fact too that he has that teaching background, but he was in some hardcore situations.
Oh,
He taught
yeah.
in the inner city in Brooklyn, and that he's been through it. He has earned his right to
Hmm.
help educate our children today. And I love the fact that it's through trial and error, and it's through experience. Nothing can go against experience. I mean, that
Hmm.
builds his credibility automatically, and
Yeah.
and plus his outcomes from his programs. His outcomes are just
Yeah.
phenomenal. So I mean,
Exactly.
it speaks as a testament to himself, to itself. He doesn't have to sell his product or his system, because it sells itself. I mean,
Hmm.
the results are right there. You can't argue with the results we're seeing from his programs.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's why it's so powerful. It's so powerful.
Yeah. And I remember now what I was going to say. I remember back in the 70s and 60s, kids that attended parochial school in the Catholic school system,
Hmm.
they were ahead of us in the public school system. I'm not just talking about the country school I went to, but I'm also talking about the others. My wife and other people that I've known has talked about. Geez, the parochial schools, they taught 1 through 8, and then they come in junior high or high school, wherever they break
Hmm.
off at. And these kids are, head and shoulders above the rest of the kids. And they evidently had a wonderful program. But anytime you make learning fun, oh my goodness gracious. I mean,
Hmm.
imagine being able to, have a program in your house. And I'm not saying it's got to be Howard's, don't get me wrong. But he made the 3 columns yesterday. He talked about the first column, you make sure it's just a word. And I forgot to mute my phone. So that's another demerit for me today if I find out how to,
No, that's okay.
yeah, yeah.
That's
But
okay.
but anyway, he talked about in the first column, write a word
Hmm.
like the name of something, and then the second one, the definition. What did they do, or why were they there? And the third column is how to use it. And he says that is a great way of someone remembering and most importantly understanding what they learned. In
Right.
homeschooling, you have that flexibility. You have as much latitude and longitude as you need to meet your child's specific needs. After all, who knows your kids better than you?
Yeah,
The
that's the
principal at
truth.
the high school? The principal at the high school I went through probably thought that if I had got a job at all washing trash cans, I'd be doing good.
No, goodness, Jim.
If
Oh gosh.
I'm being well, yeah, we were. I was not ever on, well, the only list I made was the wrong list in his office. Let me say that. but
Well,
he
you're.
was, but he was fair. I'll say that for Mr. Wayne Caudle. He was the principal there when I
Mhm.
graduated from high school there in Shelby, North Carolina. He was
Mhm.
fair, but there was times he'd look at me like, and he said, okay. I just automatically remind him of why Teenagers are aggravating.
Mm-hmm.
They really are.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Mm-hmm.
teenagers are the most smartest people in the world to get up to be about 25. And then they realized, how smart their parents are, And like one guy
Yes.
told me, he says, I was 25 years of age before I realized how smart my dad was.
And unfortunately, sometimes that's the truth. But these millennials today, my goodness gracious, they are
Mm-hmm.
on top of it. I tell you, and they're doing such a great job in business,
Mm-hmm.
developing cutting edge,
Yeah.
apps. Apps are just flying out of their wazoo. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just they're doing such a really great job. I mean, every generation,
Mm-hmm.
has its pros and cons,
Yeah.
and so. But yeah, it's
Yeah. I,
phenomenal. And my daughter 11 years old, I mean, she's teaching me things that I have no idea what to
yeah.
do, how to do on the
Mm-hmm.
computer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going younger and younger, even as technology is, speeding up. AI,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's increasing all over the place. I mean, they're
Oh,
being
yeah.
exposed to these things at such a young age,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
it's amazing.
It really is. And, what I've noticed since we're, internationally known, I get a lot of requests from India and Pakistan and things like that.
Right,
But the young people, I'm talking about in their 20s,
right.
they're wanting to just burst out.
Yeah,
And I understand that because I tell people when we graduated from my graduating class, graduated from high school, we were going to set the world on fire. Now I look back and I thought, well, thank goodness we didn't do that. I mean, but I mean, the young people, they are hungry for good
yeah,
information. They want to be uh, around the world. People want to be free. They want
yeah.
to go out and they want to do something with their life. And a lot of these young kids, and let me salute you on that. I know I got a lot of young folks watching me from India and Pakistan and all that. Thank you so much for watching us. Either you catch us live or on a replay, but
Hmm.
you definitely have the God given right, the universal law, the creator of the
Yes.
universe to be anything you want to be. I
Hmm.
don't care
That's it.
how handsome you are, how beautiful you are. I don't care how intelligent you are. You can be anything you want to be. The secret to life is love yourself first, love others, because that's going to attract the natural laws of the universe because everything's a vibration. And that way the universe says, hey, you're calling me. I've got to answer you. That's how powerful love
Wonderful.
is.
That's
I'm
right.
not I am not
Yes.
making this
That's
up.
it.
And
That's
when
it.
you do that, your natural calling is going to come to you. And when you excel in that, I mean, you're just going to, there's no limit. There's no limit. And if anybody tells
Jim, that
you,
that right there, what you just said, woo, that's powerful.
hmm, but
What
if
you just
anybody
said,
tells you
Jim,
you can't
that's
do it,
powerful.
forgive them of their ignorance. Forgive them of their ignorance. Don't let anybody with negative thinking rent space in your head. I hear an echo in there. Hmm. Maybe what I said was so smart, I had to repeat it
That
twice.
is
The computer says, I can't
phenomenal.
believe he's that intelligent today. But really,
I
I
mean,
got to
I
go.
love what you just said. I love it.
Oh, I had to put my
Just said
glasses back
because
on and see what
it
time it
is
was. Yeah, it is.
well,
There,
it's so good, so good what you just said.
Mhm. Because everything in the universe is a vibration. And that's why it's so important not to say mean things or anything like that, because everything that you demonstrate in your
Mm.
life is going to vibrate out there. It can be
Woo.
positive or it can be negative. I mean, you're walking into a building and you give somebody a look like,
Oh my
and you
goodness.
walk about 3 or 4 feet away from them, what kind of response are you going to get? And that negative response doesn't stop there, it vibrates on. The same is
Mhm.
true if you walk into a building, you see another human being and smile, good morning, or, just a nice, friendly
Mm.
greeting from your heart.
Mhm.
And they're going to respond back because most people, they will mirror and match exactly what they see.
Mhm. Mhm.
if someone, smiles at a person, normally the person would, smile back or at least, kind of give a friendly nod. But I mean, and that vibrates positive energy.
Or a half nod.
And when you do that, that's
Yes,
when the
it
universe
does.
comes
It
rushing
does.
to you. And there's a great YouTube video by the name of the guy's name is Earl Nightingale.
Hmm.
And the YouTube video he created, you look at the one for about 32 minutes.
Hmm.
It's entitled The Strangest Secret.
Hmm.
You want to know what the strangest secret is?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. We do. We
I'm
do.
not going to
Tell
tell
us.
you.
Tell us, Jim. Come on.
No, no, I don't want to rob you of that
Oh,
because, yeah,
I
The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. I met Mr. Nightingale one time when I was about 17, 18, right before I went to service. I knew who he was. He had that that deep, gravelly type of voice. And he was on the radio all the time. I mean, if he had a radio, he was on there, And, but I knew who he was, but I did not know who he was. I did not appreciate the
mm,
value he was bringing to people everywhere
mhm.
about how they could change their life.
Wow.
And he starts out, and I'll tell you a little bit. He says, he quotes some person, some great philosopher. I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but what's wrong with men today? And the philosopher stopped and says, men don't think. Now, that's a big surprise out there to you ladies, I know, but men do not think. And he goes into whatever you asked of the universe has to deliver to you. Think about that one. That's just the opening the door to the strangest secret. And yeah.
This sounds really good.
Oh, it's doubly good. I
I'm gonna
listened to
check it
that.
out.
I listened to that several times. I try to listen to it 2 or 3 times a month. Sometimes I'm better, sometimes I'm worse. But every time I listen to Earl Nightingale's, it's on YouTube, The Strangest Secret, it puts everything in proper perspective for me.
I'm
And
gonna check that out, Jim. Thank you
oh
so much.
yeah,
That sounds
oh
really
yeah,
good.
oh it's doubly good. It's like 3 scoops of ice cream instead of one. you know,
Oh goodness.
yeah. But we've covered quite a bit today. We've only got
We have.
about 7 minutes left. So Tanya said she was going to sing for us today, so I'm going to let her go ahead and sing. So
Now you have jokes. You got jokes.
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And
I tell you what, this has been a great show. I mean, hopefully our audience has really benefited from it. And
yes,
the time always goes very quickly when we do
yeah,
these shows like this because it's just so much fun. And it's just informative and fun, and hoping that it really helps everyone that's seeing these shows. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you.
Oh yeah, because we got about 6 minutes left. I just want to say that our purpose going in was to encourage, kids, sit down and talk to them about bullying, and just say, a lot of kids nowadays they experience bullying. Everybody does to a certain degree. And it may not be physical, it may be verbal or whatever, but still, bullying is still, I just call them a coward because they're picking on someone else that may not be able to defend themselves either physically or verbally, because some kids are they're introverts, and others are, they're just big and loud, and that's just the way they are. But I mean, people who try to take advantage of other people like that, we call them bullies, but they're also cowards because they won't pick on anybody bigger than them or stronger than them physically or mentally, because they're cowards,
Right.
And therefore, if you talk to your kids and just be open and honest with them and say, you're not the first one. And if you've been bullied as a parent when you were a kid in school, that might be the best place for you to start. because
Mm-hmm.
that way the kid can relate to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one of the old Andy Griffith shows. Andy Griffith is a classic in TV show here in the United States and probably around the world too. Many people have seen it because every story had a moral. And I remember a little Opie was getting bullied by some guy that made him give him his lunch money. And so Andy used himself as an example about how this bully tried to bully him and he could not fish in this certain place where they fished at today.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, wow, really? And he says, he asked him some question about how did it turn out? He said, well, we fished here today, didn't we?
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. And that might be a great place to start. And also, if you're looking into homeschooling, very first thing you should do is check into the state laws that's
Yes.
applicable to you here in the United States. Now, overseas in other countries, I don't know what the legal requirements are or restrictions are. Check into that first, but start looking. Parents.com, they have a lot about homeschooling there. Homeschool.com. Let me put their website up there. These are just some of the areas that we looked at. And also, if you want some dynamite, straight down the middle, great advice, be sure and visit berglearning.com and
Mm-hmm.
email Howard, because if I was going to start out and I didn't know where to start out or how to start out, I would contact Howard Berg, Howard at berglearning.com, and just say whatever's on your mind.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Absolutely.
he is a person that's down to earth.
He is, isn't he?
Oh gosh.
Relatable, down to earth,
Yeah.
real,
Yeah.
approachable. You would
Yeah.
think that he wouldn't be in ways just because of everything he's accomplished, but none of
Mm,
that's gone to his head.
mm-mm,
He's not arrogant. He doesn't have
mm.
ego. He's not driven
Uh-uh.
by ego, from what we saw. I mean, he was
No.
very real and down to earth, approachable. I loved that about him, and the
Yeah.
fact that he was open to receive, and help people. I feel like
Mhm.
he's very genuine to help people.
Oh yeah. He comes
Mhm.
straight from the heart because
Yeah,
he's been there, he's done it, he has nothing to prove.
that's it. That's it.
And
That's it.
he's financially secure, so he doesn't need your money.
That's right.
I'm not
That's
saying his
right.
programs are free, but he's not got his fingers crossed figuring out how to pay his next electric bill when it comes in.
No.
And Howard is a great guy. He's going to be back with us on Thursday,
It's awesome.
and he's going to be teaching about writing. So same time, same station,
Yes.
same everything. I'll be wearing a different shirt though, and
Right.
I change clothes once a day where I need them not. But he's going to
Oh
be
God.
sharing that great information with you. And all of the
Yes.
shows that we do here, they're downloaded, they're edited, they're uploaded on our YouTube channel at Messages of Inspirational Stories TV show. And please visit the 6minutewebinar.com,
Mhm.
because if you need to get your message out there, if you're in sales or if you got a business or if you're a
Mhm.
speaker, I don't care what you are, whether you're author,
Absolutely.
the 6 minute webinar, it's the real deal. It will help
It
you get
is.
clarity in your business, help you get from where you are to where you want to be. We've got about 1 minute left. You want to sing now, or you just want to say some closing comments?
No, I just want to say some closing comments.
Okay.
I'll sing later.
Okay.
But everyone have a great week, and
Mhm.
make sure you check out Howard's website, and email him. Get in contact with him.
Oh
Get
yeah.
in contact with him.
He's a fun guy to get to know. He's got a wonderful sense of humor, but the advice he can share with you is advice he's learned and experienced and created over decades.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I've learned about experience, you can't fake that.
No,
You
no,
can't fake wisdom either.
no. That's
And
the truth.
I learned a long time ago my good looks could only get me so far, which was about half an inch.
No. Oh,
But
Jim,
ladies and
you're
gentlemen,
funny.
thank you so much for tuning in today on behalf of Tanya and myself. We really do appreciate it. Be sure and like
Yes.
the show. like our YouTube video site. YouTube, just like us on YouTube, whatever they call that thing. And we just put the shows up there for convenience. But most importantly, the shows that mean a lot to you, like last week, we had Rennie Gabriel on for 5 days, How to Get Out of Debt and Create Wealth. Part 1 through 5, they're all there. Be sure and share that with others. I'm Jim Grant. We're out of time. We appreciate you. Remember to love yourself first, then you can love others. And
Yes.
that's when you really start living. Have a wonderful evening. Take care of yourself. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.